Hey, Bassgeek here, and today we're going to talk about late winter, early spring cold water crankbaits. All right, so if you're anywhere where you've still got soft water, one of the best things, and one of the things when you get ice out, so once the ice is gone, one of the things you can still do is crank, okay? When the days begin to get longer, daylight begins to get longer, I know you guys have noticed it, and trust me, the bass do too. Down here in the southern lakes, even with snow on the ground, when that daylight begins to get longer and those nights get shorter, what ends up happening is, unfortunately not on days like today, but the bass will come out because they're cold water, you know, cold-blooded creatures. They'll come out and they'll sun. The good thing about a day like today is that we're pre-front, so we got a little bit of snow coming in tonight where I live at. So that means we should be able to go. We got some nice cloud cover. We're just now starting to get a little chop, but the water is dirty. And that's when you want to break out these cold water flat-sided crankbaits. All right, so before we get into talking about that, I say it all the time, once a month, and guys, I haven't done it, so we're going to really get caught up. I've got 2 boxes right now. It's almost February, which means 3, so really be watching the videos as they come out. Normally, I do this on Sunday, and then the following Sunday, I announce the winner of the box. Right now, you know, because like I said, you know, I've got the house stuff going on. It may be 2, 3 in a row. So, you know, we'll give a week for everybody to see the video and get entered. And, you know, after that, so just keep up with the videos. But the very first thing I want to talk to you about, guys, you know I partner with Mystery Tackle Box. And the reason I do this is for you guys. So I partner with Mystery Tackle Box every month because they send me a free box, and I, in turn, send that box to one of you. So one of you lucky winners gets a box of some really good baits. And these 2 boxes right here really have some good baits. Now, I know, like I always say, I always hear, you know, guys going, well, I'll just go buy my baits. Well, you know, 20 bucks a month, guys. I'm a tackle junkie. Shout out to my boy Tackle Junkie 81. I've been known to walk into a bait store, buy $20 worth of baits, and never use but maybe one of them. Okay, and they're still hanging in my room or wherever, right? You know, and I know you guys, you real hardcore tackle junkies out there, I know you do it too. So the good thing about these is that you don't get to pick your own baits. You know why? Because it forces you to get outside of your comfort zone. You are forced to fish things that you normally wouldn't. Some baits that you would never pick up. And for us old heads, and I say this all the time, for us old heads, we get into ruts. When you fish the lakes like I've fished for so long, you tend to know what the bite is per season, you know, and year in, year out, you kind of go chase that bite. If you go back and look at a lot of my videos, you'll see I chase the same kind of bites, you know, year in and year out. So this forces me to try new things. And as an old guy, that's a good thing, because you can teach an old dog new tricks. I'm living proof of it, all right? All right, so let's get into, first off, I want to show you what you're going to win. I'll tell you near the end of the video how to enter, but let's talk about what's in here. And the very first thing I want to talk about, I've got it out. Well, I'll show you a little more of that. This is a exclusive, actually. This is a Mystery Tackle Box exclusive. This is a Lucky John. This is a flat crank 60 DRF. Now, what I like about this bait, I'm going to go ahead and show it to you now. What I like about this bait is it is a flat-sided bait, but it's also almost a square bill. So it's got a little bit of a rounded bill, but it's a square bill. So it's got a long lip. It dives 5 to 9. I love those medium divers, which for me is anywhere from, say, that 7 feet to about 14, 15 feet. For me, that's a medium diver. That bait right there in this cold water, in this dirty water with this cloud cover, is a great color. Now, the bill on it has a little bit of a bend to it, so it's going to roll a little bit, but it's also quite a lot like a square bill, so it's going to come over cover real easy. It's also a flat side, which means it's going to have a nice tight wiggle. And on a day like today, when we don't have a lot of chop on the water, that tight wiggle is going to be key to catching some fish. All right, so let's go ahead and go through the rest of the box. As always, you get your rundown of what it costs if you were to buy this stuff. You get the dibble, or what used to be known as the Dibble Digest, with some tips and tricks in there. Another great bait for this time of year. This is 1/4 ounce. This is a little ball head jig. Nice little crawl by Savage Gear. Guys, you know this is one of my favorite baits out there. Now, this is the larger version of the Sakushi bug, I believe. No, it's the same size. So, the Sakushi bug, a great bait to put on a Ned rig. We've got some Spear Point EWG 3/0 hooks. We've got another crankbait. This is a Guggen Squad. That's a square bill. And we got some stick baits by Weston. And of course, always, you get a sticker. So, a couple things in there. This is a pretty good box, man. It's loaded with some stuff. And I think one of you lucky winners out there are really going to enjoy this. But for right now, let's get to talking about cold water cranking, and let's talk about rod, reel, and line setup. Now, guys, this is my lightweight crankbait combo, okay? And as I always tell you, go check out TRC Covers. I've got a 10% discount, and like I always say, guys, they have got, and of course I get hung up. Holy, let go. There we go. Lord. All right. So the great thing is, guys, this is filled with foam, which means it's going to float. If it jumps out, the wind blows it out after you got it off your rod. And this tip is super hard, protects the tip. Best rod tip protection in the business. You can, if you're on the shore, if you're a bank angler, these things absolutely are have to haves, because you can go right through the brush with them. What else I like about them is always, they don't just come sliding off. There we go. Nope, look at that. Still ain't. Look at that. They're not just going to fall off as you're walking down the bank, even without a strap. All right, so this, for the past few years, has been my go-to setup for my smaller crankbaits. Now, this little setup will actually work for up to your medium cranks. It's a great little combo. This is my Lew's BB1, okay? So that is my Lew's BB1. It is a 6.3 to 1, 6.4 to 1 actually. And this is a Lew's custom speed stick. Now this rod is a medium heavy moderate action. So the tip has a little slower bend, a little more parabolic. It will cast lures from a half ounce all the way up to 1 3/8 ounces. So it'll go to some of those 20-foot divers. This is a great all-around combo. Like I said, you'll see me using this little bait on it. Now, something I like, because I live in, well, you know, as you can see behind me, some areas that are, they're highland lakes. So the thing about these highlands lakes is I need, you know, to get the bait down. So to get the bait down, I generally put 10-pound test. Now, sometimes I'll go to 8. My recommendation for most of you guys, 10 to 12-pound fluorocarbon. I've got 10-pound on this right now. Now, you'll also see that I use a clip at the end. Now, does a clip, you hear people all the time, does a clip affect bait action? It does a little bit. And you'll notice, though, that if you don't have a lot of rods, or you've only got 1 or 2 and you need a few baits, put that clip on there. Go ahead and make it easy to swap out baits so that you can figure out what bait or what color they're biting on. If you're in a tournament situation, that's when I'm going to tie directly to the bait itself, so that I'm getting the best action I can get out of it. But while I'm hunting, while let's say I'm in tournament practice, I'm going to use that quick clip. All right, let's get up and talk about retrieve. And this time of year, that's extremely important. All right, guys, so the key thing about a crankbait this time of year, this bank, you'll see it's got everything. We're on a main lake point adjacent to deep water. We got a steep drop off on this side. That's one thing you want to really try to focus on, is those steeper areas. Then you've got a bluff wall, and even on down, you've got riprap or chunk rock that's going to get sunlight all day, even though today we're not getting any sunlight apparently. The thing about this bait is, when I'm first starting out and I'm going down a bank, I am going to start by throwing it up shallow. I'm keeping my rod tip down. Now, I'm not burning this bait. I am slow cranking this bait. And I don't know if I got a fish or, yeah. So, all right. First catch of the day, a 3-pounder. So, but that's what you want, is to slow roll this bait right now. These fish aren't going to be extremely active, and as you go down this point, you're going to want to make sure that you're contouring this point and that you're really working it well. 2-3 casts. This is a time of year when, you know, you don't necessarily want that trolling motor on high as you're cranking down the point and down the bluff. Well, like I said, good long cast. Now this bank very quickly turns into a very steep drop off. So you'll notice I'm really tight to the bank. But believe it or not, we're already in about 20 foot of water out here this far out. So this thing's going to dive to a max weight or a max depth of about 9 feet. And I'm going to keep that rod tip down and really just feel every ounce of that bottom contour. And right now I can't seem to get away from the sticks and the leaves. All right, so let's go talk about how I like to fish a bluff. Now, the thing you're going to notice when I fish a bluff with a crankbait this time of year, you'll notice I've got a creek channel. That's a telltale sign of a creek channel swing. That's another area I want to target, is either the river channel or the creek is swinging up. That's why we've got this big bend. But I am going to cast it right up against the bank. I'm going to keep it in there tight. I'm going to beat it against this bluff wall. Now this bluff wall drops off to about 30, 40 feet. And again, a nice, slow retrieve. Sometimes you just stop it, let it float up, hit it a couple times, changing that speed, keeping it pretty slow though, for the most part. That's what you're looking for. It's winter time, so you don't want to crank it too fast, especially right now with this cold front coming through. Now, another big tip I can give you is, you see we've got an indention right there. You know, that's a great spot to run that crankbait down and around this little point. You know, use this and hit these areas like that. Now, guys, remember, with a crankbait, you want to beat and bang the bottom. So remember, this is almost a vertical drop. So you want to get this bait as tight as you can. You know, I'm probably, 6-8 feet off the side of the bank here, but I want to make sure that I'm getting that bait right up against that. And I'm holding my rod tip out here to the side to make sure I'm coming down the face of that bluff wall. Last but not least, when it comes to a crankbait, guys, you've seen it over and over, a rip wrap bank. That's one of the things that you want to make sure you are targeting when you're cranking during cold weather. You also want to make sure that it's one that has gotten sunlight or gets sunlight the majority of the day. Warm those rocks up, those fish will get more active. And what's at the end of this riprap is actually a boat ramp, which is made of concrete. That is also another great places. The sides and ends of those boat ramps are great places to crank during cold water conditions. All right, guys, that's that simple. You know, today's conditions are pretty close to being right for some cranking in the cold water. You know, we got dirty water. This lake is normally super clear. It's a little cold out here, a little muddy. So cold, muddy water, you know how that can be. You want to look for a little bit of water that's a little bit clearer. But that is exactly the type of banks I'm looking for. Main lake point, a lot of, bluff wall, channel swing, and riprap at the end. That is where you're going to pay off cranking in the cold, and make sure you're looking for those flat-sided baits like this one. All right, so I know you guys want to know what you got to do to win. Like I always say, I always try to keep it nice and easy. Make sure you are a subscriber to the channel, and just comment #crankbait in the comment section below. To be entered, we'll do a random drawing 1 week from the time this video comes out. So if it comes out on Sunday, it'll be the following Sunday. If it comes out on a Wednesday, it'll be the following Wednesday. So make sure you guys are staying tuned to the channel. There is a ton of stuff. And by the way, I co-host a podcast now, the Basscast. Make sure you go check it out. Brian, the guy that has run it and has done so for years, graciously asked me to come on and be a co-host. I'll put a link to that in the description also. So make sure, if you're driving back and forth to work, or if you can listen at work, you go check out that. I've done 2 shows with him. I do a little piece every show called Schooled with Bassgeek. And, we talk about a lot of things, a lot of my opinions on the world of bass fishing, and, tips and tricks, as always. So remember, as always, questions and comments in the comment section below. #crankbait to be entered, and you have to be subscribed. Like it if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. Make sure you ring the bell so you get the notification so you're not missing these videos. And as always, you guys rock.